Hey guys, Hamsterwheel here with a new video, and welcome to episode 4 of Gearing for Dungeoneering, a video series where we go over what gear you can get for your freshly dinged level 70 to make sure he can do respectable damage in dungeons and pull his own weight. Today we're checking out the Fury Warrior, so without further ado, let's get started. Alright, and as you can see, the current gear of this Fury Warrior leaves much to be desired. And when we put it to the test, it pulls an embarrassingly low 351.3 DPS. Yikes. Don't worry though, we're gonna fix that right here, right now. So let's once again work our magic, and there we go. Upgrade complete. Now let me show you what I decided to give this Fury Warrior in terms of gear. And we're gonna start off with the headpiece once again, and as always, a bit of a staple of this series, we're gonna go with the Helmet of Second Sight. This time it is the Overlord's Helmet of Second Sight, the plate version. It has 22 stamina, 29 strength, 3 sockets, a socket bonus of 4 strength, 13 hit rating, and 24 crit rating. So all in all, a great headpiece that is pretty much on par with what you can get out of level 70 normal dungeons, and sometimes even heroics. So definitely worth your time. However, like I said before, it does require you to have a flying mount to get to the island where you have to kill the last quest mob to get this. So you need a flying mount, or you need a warlock friend to summon you there. And if you don't have either of those, I do have a cheaper alternative for you. And that is the Ash Covered Helm. A plate helm with 42 stamina, 28 strength, and a fairly decent 27 crit rating. So obviously not as good as the Helmet of Second Sight, but still decently good, and this is very easily obtainable. So, you know, if you don't have a flyer or a warlock friend, you just can't complete that other quest, this is a decent alternative to shoot for. It's not amazing, but considering how easy it is to get, and how it's at least better than what you probably have if you just stepped into Outlands, it is probably worth your time to get. Next up is the necklace, the Chain of Glowing Tendrils. A very simple but effective necklace. It has 18 strength, 17 agility, and 25 stamina. Again, not really much to talk about. It's just very simple and very effective. Gives you extra attack power, bit of crit rating, bit of stamina, so that's always nice. And the quest itself is actually the same, where you get the Cloak of Woven Energy, which I recommended for my Balance Druid. It's a fairly simple quest chain. It is a elite group quest, so you're gonna need at least 1 or 2 friends to complete it. But it's only 2 quests, and I think the total quest is takes you 20 minutes, something like that. So a pretty darn good necklace that doesn't take you a whole lot of time to get, and with some pretty decent stats. So there you go. Next up are the Overmaster Shoulders, plate shoulders with 12 stamina, 30 strength, 16 crit rating, and 8 hit rating. Now for green shoulders, I think these are actually pretty darn nice. They have 30 strength, which is 60 attack power, definitely not bad, as well as 16 crit rating and a little bit of hit, which is always nice, because as a melee, you definitely need that hit to make sure you're missing the least amount of attacks when you're killing a boss. So all in all, a great shoulder piece, and pretty easy to get to. It's only green, but the stats are pretty damn nice, which is why I decided to put this in the list. Next up, the Cloak, which is the Nomad's Woven Cloak. 14 strength, 14 agility, 21 stamina, and 13 hit rating. So a little bit of everything you want. I mean, a little bit of crit rating would have been nice, but then again, it's still decent for what it is. And it's also part of a 2-part quest chain in Nagrand. Pretty easy to complete, though you will need at least 1 or 2 friends to get this cloak. But it's a pretty popular quest chain to do, as it is, you know, it gives you a pretty nice cloak, and it requires very little time of you. So I think a lot of people will probably run this, so you should have no problem finding more people to complete this quest. And again, the stats are pretty damn nice, so it's definitely worth picking up. I'm gonna go on to the chest piece, which is the Torn Heart Family Tunic, a plate chest piece with 39 strength, 24 stamina, and 21 crit rating. Now that 39 strength is really nice. That translates to 78 attack power on a green chest, which is not bad at all. So I definitely recommend you guys get this. Unfortunately, it is part of the Tempest Keep quest chain, which I know pops up a lot, but that quest chain offers you a lot of really powerful greens and some pretty damn nice blues too, so that's why I keep recommending these. But like I said before in this series, it could be that this quest chain is not out yet on your server, so if that's the case, I will offer you guys an alternative, which is the Battle Master's Breastplate. 21 agility, 38 strength, and 22 stamina. So a very simple chest piece in terms of the stats, but also very effective. Again, 38 strength is 76 attack power, so just tiny little bit less than the green chest plate, but still a very nice item to get. Again, the quest chain for this is not too long, and it's also fairly popular. So all in all, I'd say this is definitely a really good alternative if you cannot get the other chest piece just yet. Let me move on to the bracers, which are the Demolisher's bracers. 14 strength, 21 stamina, 14 crit rating, and 13 hit rating. So again, almost a little bit of everything you need as a Fury Warrior. And considering how these are only green bracers, I think the stats are actually pretty darn nice. And all in all, I think they're definitely worth getting. Again, quest chain isn't too long for this, so definitely worth your time. If you're still rolling around with some crappy bracers, this is a very good item to shoot for. Alright, moving on to the weapons. Probably the most important part for this Fury Warrior. And we're going to start off with the Resonating Axe. It's an axe with 2.8 attack speed, 12 stamina, 11 crit rating, 7 expertise rating, which is really nice, and 22 attack power. Now, unfortunately, when it comes to blue one-handed weapons that are fairly easy to obtain through quests in Burning Crusade, there's not a whole lot of choice, which is why I unfortunately had to resort to this green axe as a main hand. Despite that though, it's still pretty darn nice. It has 57.9 DPS, so, you know, not too bad. And it has a very slow attack speed, 2.8, which is great. Also, it has some expertise rating, which is also a very welcome sight for Fury Warriors. So, all in all, I'd say this is definitely worth picking up. The quest for this is also pretty easy. So, if you're looking for a new main hand weapon and you're still rolling around with a crappy green that you got just when you entered Outlands, I'd say this is definitely a good choice for your first weapon. The second weapon I want to recommend is the Magari Fury brand, which is a fist weapon with 2.5 attack speed, 13 agility, 19 stamina, and 26 attack power. So the DPS of this weapon is a little bit higher than the one-handed axe, however the attack speed is faster, so I'd advise you to use this as your offhand. And all in all, it is a pretty decent item. It's not super effective because it doesn't have strength, doesn't have any hit rating or crit, but like I said, the choice for one-handed weapons in the Burning Crusade that are fairly easy to get is kind of limited. So this is a decent enough item for what it is, and you also get this through the Ring of Blood quest chain, which again is a very popular quest chain, and it doesn't take you a lot of time, so it should be fairly easy to get, and those two weapons combined should provide you with some decent weapons for your Fury Warrior. Next up is the ranged weapon. Now I was looking for something with maybe a lot of strength and crit rating and something like that, but unfortunately I couldn't really find anything in the Burning Crusade database, so I had to resort to this, which is Ali's Recurve, which is a bow with 10 stamina, 7 agility, 7 hit rating, and 14 attack power. Again, it's not the greatest item, but at least it offers you some stamina, a little bit of hit rating, and some attack power, so, you know, it's still kind of beneficial to your Fury Warrior. And I also chose this because the quest for this is super easy, and it's pretty fast and easy to get. So, you know, if you're starving for an upgrade when it comes to your ranged weapon, this is a pretty good alternative. Alright, moving on to the trinkets. And for the first one, I'm going to recommend the Blade Fits Breath. Same trinket I recommended for the Hunter. It has 26 crit rating, and when you use it, you get 200 attack power for 15 seconds with a 1.5 minute cooldown. Not much to talk about here. I mean, it's a pretty damn nice item. Crit rating, which is also nice. Allows you to get bleed effects on the target, which means an extra dot, which means more damage. And like I said before, the quest chain for this is fairly lengthy, but it's a quest chain that pretty much everyone does when they're entering Outlands. So finding people to kill the last mob and completing this should be pretty easy. So I'd say this is definitely a good recommendation when it comes to your first trinket. Next up is the other trinket, the Core of Arkelos. Now, if you've watched my Hunter gearing guide, you can see that these are the exact same trinkets, and for good reason actually, because this is also a really good melee trinket, offers you 52 attack power and 200 attack power when you use it for 20 seconds with a 2-minute cooldown. So the effect lasts a little bit longer, it has a longer cooldown, but it's a great trinket, and like I said in the Hunter guide, this is a pretty damn nice item to get, and the quest for this item is also not too hard. I mean, you can pretty much solo anything, so it's fairly easy to obtain, and you get a pretty sweet trinket if I say so myself. Alright, moving on to the rings. The first one I'm going to recommend is the Protectorate's Assassin's Ring. I'm not sure if you pronounce it like that, but there you go. 13 stamina, 16 strength, 15 agility, and 12 hit rating. So, all in all, a pretty decent ring for your Fury Warriors. Has a little bit of everything, a little bit of stam for more health, and some strength and agility, and also some hit rating, which is always a welcome sight for your Fury Warrior, making sure you miss your attacks, or you have less chance to miss your attacks. And it's also fairly easy to obtain. And for a green ring, it's pretty darn nice in terms of stats. So I'd say this is definitely a good recommendation for your first ring. The second one is the Ogre Slayer's Band, which has 17 strength, 16 agility, and 25 stamina. So, a little bit more beefy, a little bit more tanky, as it has a lot of stamina, which always nice. I mean, you're in melee range, you might get cleaved, and with some more stamina, you might survive a cleave, as opposed to dying to one when you have next to no stamina. So that's always nice. And it's also fairly easy to obtain. It comes from a quest in Nagrand. It is a quest chain, and it will require you to get at least 1 or 2 more people. But all in all, the quest chain doesn't take too long, and well, you get a pretty sweet ring for it. So I'd say it's well worth it. Now we move on to the boots, which are these studded green ankle wraps. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that right. Anyway, it has 30 strength, 12 agility, 13 stamina, 8 hit rating, and 8 dodge rating. Now these are leather boots, so they're definitely suboptimal. They provide you with very little armor. However, I still chose these because 1, they're fairly easy to obtain. It is from the Natural Remedies quest in Hellfire Peninsula, so you can get these fairly early on, and it's a quest that almost everyone does, so it's fairly easy to get people to do that. That is 1. And 2, I mean, just look at the stats. I mean, it's 30 strength on boots. That's 60 attack power, a little bit of agility, 13 stamina, and again, a little bit of hit rating. So that's amazing. I mean, the dodge rating is not really that important, but still amazing boots. So I definitely recommend you to get those. Moving on to the leggings, which are the mid-realm leggings. 39 strength, 16 stamina, 21 crit rating, and 10 hit rating. I'd say it's a pretty nice item for especially green pants. And yes, they don't look the best. I mean, you're looking like a bit of a clown right now. But again, I'd say function over form. And this is definitely a great item. 39 strength, which translates to 78 attack power on green leggings. I mean, that's pretty damn nice. Also, 21 crit rating and 10 hit rating and a bit of stamina. So you just can't go wrong here. And it's also fairly easy to obtain. So that's what I definitely recommend for the leggings. Moving on to the belt, which is the Borax Belt of Bravery. 26 strength, 26 agility, and 24 stamina. Again, very simple in terms of stats, but very effective. Offers you lots of extra attack power, bit of crit rating, a little bit of extra armor, because of course agility also means armor, and 24 stamina, which is also nice. So a great belt for your level 70 warrior. Unfortunately, this is also part of the Cipher of Damnation quest chain, so if this isn't out yet, then I do have a cheaper and more simple alternative for you. And that is the Engraved Cattleman's Buckle, which is a plate belt with 21 strength, 30 stamina, 10 hit, and 15 crit rating. So, you know, despite being a green belt, still has a lot of attack power, a lot of hits and crit rating. It doesn't have as much attack power as the blue belt, but this does have a little bit of hit rating, so that's always nice. And for a green belt, I mean, you can't really go wrong with this one. So that's what I would recommend as a more simple and cheaper alternative, if you will, compared to the Cipher of Damnation belt. And last but not least, the gloves, which are the White Knuckle Gauntlets. Play gloves with 28 strength, 16 agility, and 16 stamina. Again, fairly easy in terms of stats, nothing super fancy. But, you know, 28 strength on green gloves is not too shabby at all. So that's why I chose these. These will offer you a lot of extra attack power. And again, a little bit of agility and stamina, which is always a welcome sight. And that is pretty much what I would recommend you to get in terms of items for your level 70 warrior. And after all those upgrades, we drastically improved our stats with more damage, more attack power, more hit rating, and also a big bump in terms of crit chance. We also slightly improved the attack speed of our main hand, as slower weapons are usually more beneficial to Fury warriors. So all those stats are nice and all, but what does that mean for our DPS? Well, before we upgraded this warrior, we did a very mediocre 351.3 DPS, and now we're doing a much better 552.4 DPS. That is an increase of a whopping 57.24%. Now, to some, this DPS doesn't seem like a whole lot, but this is purely self-buffed. If this warrior was put into a dungeon group with, let's say, a shaman with Wind Fury Totem, or even something simple like a paladin with an extra might or king's blessing, we'd be seeing even more damage from this warrior. So, all in all, I'd say mission accomplished. This warrior is now ready to farm level 70 normal dungeons, get some rep for heroic dungeons, and eventually make its way up to raids. And that's all for today. As always, I want to thank you for watching this video. I'm Hamsterwheel, and have a good one.